hockey fans, are you ready to brave the wild? With me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awijan. Brave the Wild is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Double Twist, not to mention Google Play Music as well now. Great to be on board with you today. Thank you for joining me. Always appreciate it. Well, the Minnesota Wild only played 2 games last week, and they've got it, 3 out of a possible 4 points. So I guess kind of a little above 500, something like that. Bill Guerin's been frustrated with how the Wild have been playing 500 hockey for an extended period now, going back to the last Tampa game, according to Michael Russo recently. And yes, if you just kind of look at the schedule and everything as well, you can notice that. What an awesome couple of games for Marcus Foligno, though. Holy cow, just piling up the points. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Love the continued solid play of Fiala and others. The goaltending is just becoming a bigger and bigger. It's just not that good right now. Alex Stalock is what he is. He's a backup goalie. He's not a starter. The only reason I would have had him as a starter is if it's, we're kind of in a semi-rebuilding on the fly type of move. Rebuilding with big contracts, stuck with big contracts situation, which is kind of where we are in a lot of ways. But obviously the young guys have been so good, it's not necessarily rebuilding. It's just kind of semi-changing of the guard, so to speak. It's more like that rather than rebuilding. Changing of the guard, younger guys getting bigger roles, that type of thing. But that's where I would be willing to trade Dubnyk at some point. But at the same time, I don't know. Dubnyk is now going to have another leave of absence for a few games, tending to his wife's illness again. She's going through a procedure, apparently. So Kaapo Kähkönen, or should I say Kaapo Kähkönen? It is Kaapo Kähkönen. Kaapo Kähkönen returns to the Minnesota Wild, being called up again. It is what it is. God bless Devin Dubnyk and his wife, obviously. But at the same time, it's okay to be honest, to say the goaltending has not been real good. Louis Belpedio also has been called up. Nick Seeler has been playing down in the AHL, which is understandable because when they say conditioning stint and such, he hasn't been playing at all. It's better than having him sit in a rot in the press box. Unfortunately, now Louis Belpedio's rotted in the press box the past 2 games. I think Louis Belpedio's pretty much on the NHL level right now, along with Brennan Mennel. They're pretty much there. Sad part is, again, I can say it 100,000 times to us hockey fans that pay attention to the game. They both play on the right side. So obviously, you can only have one or the other when it comes to Louis and Mr. Mennel. So it is what it is. Nick Seeler, of course, left shot. Solid player. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded because obviously he deserves more ice time than he's getting, and you can't help that Carson Soucy's a legitimate NHL defenseman, and he plays the same spot, the left, and it is what it is. So, I don't know. I always kind of had a feeling it was going to be Seeler versus Soucy, Seeler versus Soucy, Seeler versus Soucy, and for the longest time it looked like Seeler had won that battle, but now it's looking like Soucy's going to win the battle, I guess. So, that's kind of how it is. Just like a year and a half ago, Nick Seeler was playing on the second pairing for an extended period, and he looked the part. Soucy's been playing on the second pairing forever now, and he looks the part. So, Soucy's been outstanding. Matt Bartkowski's been called up as well with some injury scares going on, bits and pieces here and there, guys possibly missing some time. So, I don't know. It's frustrating, and there's still been so many up and down injuries this year. It just is what it is, and that's hockey. Guys get banged up and bruised and all that. Tell me about it with the bruising. I'm still bruised from the fall a couple of weeks ago, but it's coming back. Kaapo Kähkönen, maybe he can help restore the goalie situation because he was pretty good for the most part, though he started giving up the 4 or 5 goals a game for a while there too at the end there. Gave up, 4 goals against Edmonton. So, I don't know. That's the goalie situation right now. We're kind of in a transition period, I think, with the goalies. It's going to be a new goalie of the future not too long from now. As much as we all love Devin Dubnyk, there's little to no chance he gets an extension with the Minnesota Wild. And it's nothing personal. It's business. It's nothing personal. It's business. And I wouldn't be surprised if he'd like a different, if he'd like a change of scenery somehow, some way. I don't think it would, though I suppose that would be tough at this moment with what's going on with his wife. That'd be extremely tough. He might end up saying, screw it, I retire. Who knows, because if it gets serious enough. So, I don't know. Let's look at the Winnipeg game last Saturday. It was just a quick back-to-back, and then several days off here until tonight against the Calgary Flames. Minnesota Wild host the Flames this time around. Hopefully a better result. So a very entertaining couple of games here, I got to admit. Both of them went into the overtime period. Ultimately, the Calgary game went to a shootout, which you got to think is a cursed waiting to happen. All those talented players in Calgary, and then it ends up being someone else. Marcus Foligno, what a great play early on, gets his 5th goal of the year, and even better play by Jules Eriksson. What an awesome play. Kunin, Ek, and Foligno. I mean, this line has been awesome. As again, you thought, you can't break up the geek squad. Are you crazy? The big rig. So he ends up moving up to the top line. Again, with, guys have been out. Obviously, Zucker's been out forever. And, sometimes Boudreaux wants to switch things up a bit. And, of course, again, with Zucker out, it kind of, you just got to kind of rearrange things on occasion. Maybe certain lines aren't doing anything. So, and Greenway had been solid. He ended up getting a goal this week. But now Foligno kind of joins the semi-geek squad here. In fact, yes, he joins the geek squad. And the geek squad still looks good with Foligno there. In fact, he's been downright outstanding. I think this is what would happen if Foligno moved up to the 3rd line rather than 4th. I was talking about it on the last show. The guy has skills. He's obviously a physical player, penalty kill wizard, and he's the kind of guy that could definitely wear an A on his chest. Not a C, but an A. He's got skills. He really does. His passing is fantastic. His shooting, he's got skills. He's got good hands. His skating, obviously his professionalism, his defense, but he can score. He can score in this league, I do believe, and I think he should be on the 3rd. He is a 3rd line kind of guy. But again, guys are coming up and they're 3rd line players, so maybe it's like best case scenario for everybody, especially if they get better. Obviously, Jules Eriksson and Kunin become 2nd line players, or say Greenway, just flat out Greenway becomes a 2nd or top 6 guy like he's playing right now with the absence of Zucker. Maybe these 3 continue to play together on the 3rd, or say Jules Eriksson and Kunin go to the 2nd line someday, and Marcus Foligno at least gets to be on the 3rd, that type of thing. Foligno, you got to keep him long term, I think. Obviously, a semi-expensive contract, but if he plays anything like he did this past week, he's absolutely worth his contract. He absolutely is, because you bring the professionalism. He doesn't make stupid mistakes. He stands up for people, this and that. Yes, some of that's, oh, yay, it's all dramatic. Yay, he stands up for everybody. But no, he's got a hell of a game underneath the toughness and physicality, like the grinder, that 4th line grinder. He's a better player than a 4th line grinder. And we're seeing it more and more that he's moved up a little bit here. Again, the geek squad, semi-geek squad, whatever it is. Big plays here. Matt Dumba ended up getting a couple assists this week. Good for him. He still can't find the net, though. Obviously, nice release on his shot. He's been putting him on net. The accuracy's been there. It's been getting better. Foligno and Dumba both getting an assist on one of the most spectacular plays of the whole season for the Minnesota Wild. I mean, absolutely awesome. This is after the usuals. Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler end up scoring to put the Winnipeg Jets up 2-1. Disappointing, and both on the power play. 2 power plays given up against Winnipeg. The penalty kill continues to stink for the Minnesota Wild. It's getting worse and worse. So right when I was praising Marcus Foligno on the power play, the Wild penalty kill, is 25th in the league right now, which is uncharted territory. I mean, we're talking like Todd Richards days here, when the guy was like, there was like no special teams. See, Lemaire was special teams 1,000,000%, obviously. And the neutral zone trap, it can go on forever with that. Obviously, very big on the power play and the penalty kill. And obviously, it's crucial times of the game. I mean, duh. The man advantage is usually when a lot of stuff happens one way or another. You either shut him down, or you lose the game, or so to speak, vice versa. You either capitalize or you get shut down, that type of thing. Wild's special teams have not been good at all. 20th in the power play and 25th in the penalty kill. It's basically been dead last in the penalty kill of late. Big frustration there. But, I mean, awesome week again, this Geek Squad. Awesome week for these guys. Again, you could call it like a, 2 out of 3 ain't bad type of thing. 2 out of 3 in the Geek Squad. But Marcus Foligno is better than a Geek Squad. I mean, he's very much fitting with this group in a lot of ways, regardless whatever you want to say. Again, the 2 power plays given up, extremely frustrating. But then you see Marcus Foligno, again, the nice feed from Dumba. Forward pass, so to speak, moving the puck forward. Puck mover, blah, blah, blah. He's got to get assists somehow, Dumba. Again, because even it's frustrating how his shots end up getting frozen most of the time, caught and then frozen by goaltenders. That's why he hasn't been getting as many assists this year. Maybe the velocity isn't 100% yet still, because obviously you'd think there's going to be a lot of bounces, and that's how you can get a lot of his assists off of juicy rebounds. But Foligno, Magic Johnson, my goodness, you look like Magic Johnson out there. I mean, he skates over to the wall, behind the back pass. Luke Kunin with the twirl. I couldn't believe it. Just the receive, he twirled and received the puck and just let it fly. That was about the most spectacular play of the year. I'm surprised the announcers didn't get a little more excited with that one. And this is, again, when we're scared to death, we're trailing in the game, it's getting late in the third period. It's like, please, Lord, this team is putting in a hell of an effort. I mean, like 30 shots, 35 shots at this stage. And it's like the Wild are outplaying Winnipeg. We're just not freaking capitalizing. It's so frustrating. And obviously, the goaltending by Hellebuck was pretty freaking good, and it usually is. That's one of the reasons why Winnipeg has beaten the Wild this year, but also the fact that their scorers have been capitalizing and their power play has been strong. That helps in a huge way also. But what a spectacular play. Foligno to Kunin, that was just beautiful. And then certain players in Winnipeg thought Parisi interfered with Hellebuck later on in the overtime period, but it appeared he was pushed by a certain guy that we all remember very well. Parisi was pushed into Hellebuck, and Hellebuck was hella frustrated, I suppose, and so were other players. That would be a guy by the name of Anthony Bitetto. Remember Bitetto? Who could forget? Bitetto, Geppetto, Pinocchio, whatever they call him. Yeah, he accidentally pushed Parisi, or intentionally pushed Parisi. He pushed Parisi, but into the goaltender. So good job, Bitetto. Good job. So the goalie interference was not called because, the defenseman of Winnipeg named Anthony Bitetto pushed Parisi into the net, and Eric Stahl scored his 16th goal of the year. That was very exciting in a game that looked like we were going to lose. We ended up stealing this one. Winnipeg does get a point out of it, but whatever. At least we got two, and that's awesome. That's awesome. What a fun win. Maybe Winnipeg will end up facing off with Minnesota in the Winter Classic next year, because the Minnesota Wild have been awarded the Winter Classic at long last. It took 10 freaking years. The Dallas Stars got to host it before the Minnesota Wild. That's an insult. Yes, the Minnesota North Stars entered the NHL in 1967. The Minnesota Wild entered the NHL in 2000. It was the second six, so to speak, the Minnesota North Stars, but they're not the North Stars, though. They're the freaking Dallas Stars. But, I mean, okay, fine. You brought the Winter Classic to the South, and everyone can pretend it's cold outside because it's Dallas, Texas. We can pretend it's cold. I wouldn't even want to pretend. I don't want to sweat my freaking body off, and that'd be disgusting. Sweat's not a pleasant thing. I think it's gross, honestly. I think sweat is gross. It makes me just want to run to the shower in like 10 seconds. I don't like sweat. Though, of course, working out, it feels good. Playing, it feels good. But just sitting in the stands or standing and sweating, it's kind of gross. Yeah, it is what it is. Well, yeah, Dallas just kind of ended up whooping up on Nashville. I didn't even talk about that, but I mean, it's like, who cares? It was a pretty boring game, actually. And Nashville ends up firing Peter Laviolette, and they bring in John Hines, the former New Jersey Devils coach, since 2015. And, here we go. We'll see if John Hines can restore order in Nashville with Pioli as the general manager. See what happens. Paul Fenton's not back there or anything. I don't think Paul Fenton's employed still. But, boy, wish we could have Paul Fenton as our assistant GM. Just be an assistant GM and help out in the draft, and just be a nice guy to Bill Guerin, because the guy is a pretty good drafting GM, isn't he? At least he was in the short period of time he was there. I mean, with Minnesota, with the exception of Johansson, the first pick that he ever made for Minnesota. Philip Johansson. I mean, and who's to say he's bad? It's just he's not that. He doesn't stand out. Just look at the drafts. Just look at the players he drafted. I mean, outside of Kaprizov, a lot of our top prospects are, Fenton picks. So, pretty interesting. Obviously, Matt Boldy's off to a slow start, and hopefully that changes. Fun game against the Winnipeg Jets, though. Thrilling Saturday evening victory for Minnesota. Then you get Sunday after the Minnesota Vikings shock the world and defeat the New Orleans Saints. Check out the Purple Mafia show if you'd like to. Minnesota Vikings podcast. If you're interested, maybe you're new to this show and you'd like to hear a Minnesota Vikings podcast as well, check that out. We talk all about it there. Oh my goodness, Vikings upset the New Orleans Saints in one of the most beautiful days ever. Mike Zimmer, masterful, and all that good stuff. But so we're riding the high of that. I'm even recording the first segment, bits and pieces, and I have to kind of catch up on this Calgary game. I'm watching it and all that. Oh, man, back and forth. It was tough to keep up with because it was just goal. Minnesota ends up losing the game 5-4. It was really 4-4. It's considered as 5 because of the bleeping shootout. Calgary ends up getting 2 goals. Minnesota only 1 in the shootout. I hate shootouts, but you know what are you gonna do? You know, I mean, Ryan Donato had a very nice goal and all that, but other than that, Minnesota could not score against David Rittich. Rittich, he was outstanding in the game, and then Dylan Dubé ends up winning it. Ugh, that was kind of lame. It is what it is, though. Derek Ryan, right after Ryan Donato's goal. Minnesota would have won the game if Alex Stalock could have made that bleeping stop, but of course he didn't. Then you get multiple chances. Hardman, Zuccarello, Kunin, who had an awesome move. I mean, Kunin is getting good. I've been praising Foligno on this show, and I'm going to continue to praise him because he had a really good game here, a couple of goals. Kevin Fiala had an awesome power play goal as well from Suter's shot. Fiala kind of hustling it on the play on the power play. And then Milan Lucic ends up scoring against Minnesota for the umpteenth time. Come on. It's always Milan Lucic with Edmonton, now with Calgary. And I'm sick of Milan Lucic, man. I'm sick of Milan Lucic. Is it okay to say? Sick of Lucic. Foligno, big play there. Again, great pass by Jule Eriksson Ek. What a jewel of a pass. Yeah, I know. Pun intended. Great play. Tic-tac-toe play with Kunin, Dumba, and Foligno. That was awesome. Foligno's 2 goals here. Dumba putting the puck on net. Foligno kind of gutting it out, getting his 7th goal of the year. Now you're seeing Hamonic and Michael Stone score. Guys that don't score all too often. But obviously with the way they, their positioning and such, their roles and such, defensemen in this case, they both get their 2nd and 3rd goals of the season. That was a frustrating moment. And Mike Giordano also ended up scoring to tie it up. That was extremely frustrating. That's after Giordano also made a pretty nice pass earlier on. Very accurate play to help out the Calgary Flames down the stretch. But Giordano from Goudreau, that was a big one, tape-to-tape situation. Lindholm finally picking up a couple points there. Lindholm had a couple points in this game as he'd been struggling to get on the board for Calgary of late. It's like they score goals, their goaltending is, they're kind of hot and cold, aren't they? Calgary has kind of been an up and down, hot and cold team. Their goaltending is just average. David Rittich is an average goalie, but he was awesome in the shootout. This game was not so good. This was the Alex Stalock game. Yeah, not so good. Dubnyk did do very well. Dubnyk was very solid against Winnipeg, so it's like I can't trash the goaltending too much. He was awesome against Winnipeg. Big time plays. Obviously, he got beat twice, but only twice against a team that scored 5 goals against us multiple times this year. So credit to Dubnyk. Unfortunately, he was the goalie early on when they killed us. Stalock has just given up 1 million goals a game nowadays. It's frustrating, but he did face a lot of shots. 37 shots. It was a very offensive-minded game. Defense just wasn't there in this game. It didn't feel like it was there on both sides. Calgary's offense, they were focused. They were ready to go. This team had been struggling, and they're trying to break their way out of it. They really were. At the end of the day, remember they got shut out last time they played Minnesota. Devin Dubnyk's first shutout of the season, and the first shutout for any Wild goalie at this stage. Pardon me. Actually, I do believe Stalock had one, but it's like hard to remember at this point because we've been giving up 1 billion goals. Stalock did have a shutout. That's what I thought. Dubnyk finally got his first shutout, but the goals against averages are up in the moon. You get Alex Stalock as your leading guy with the lowest goals against average of 306. Save percentage just above 90. Dubnyk just under 90. So, it's a tough situation there. Kapanen has not obviously been in the net long enough. 2.96. That's nothing special either. After a strong start, kind of started to drop off a bit. Reality started to kind of set in a little bit for Capo Kakkonen as things kind of wore on in his 5-game stint with Minnesota. Now he'll be back, definitely. I would put him in net if I could tonight. I didn't like the way Stalock played against... Stalock was solid. He was solid here and there, but it's still 4 goals. He's just getting beat time and time again. Just not there on time, this and that. Obviously, he's a smaller guy. He has to move more. So when he does make a save, it looks more spectacular, even though it might not be. If, say, Dubnyk's there, he doesn't have to move as much. So be it. It wasn't a spectacular save because he's big enough, blah, blah, blah. That's why goalies are getting bigger. It's easier for him, I suppose. Kind of a common sense thing. Stalock is what he is. He's an average goaltender. Upper 2s, low 3s. That's just kind of who he is. And just reality's kind of setting in there. Dubnik's absence has been noted. It has absolutely been noted. Like Stalock had his hot runs because it's like, hey, he doesn't get in net all that much, so he's got a lot of energy. But then when he becomes a regular goalie because of absence and this and that, it's, reality kind of sets in, and the real picture comes to the surface. It's just, that's who he is. He's not bad, but he's not good either. Kakkonen, hopefully he's going to be better than okay. He's not going to be just okay like Stalock and Dubnyk have been this year. Hopefully he's going to be better, and we can at least have, if not a permanent goalie of the future, a short-term goalie of the future. Maybe someone else emerges and puts him down as a backup. I don't think it's Robson right now. Obviously, he's not been doing as good in Iowa. We'll get back to that. This was definitely a back-and-forth game. It was very entertaining. Obviously, again, Foligno, couple goals. Dumba getting another assist here. Very nice to see that. Only 13 points in the season, but he's been quietly creeping up. Marcus Foligno, again, 16 points on the year. He's on pace for like over 30, so good for him. 30, 35 points or so. So that's definitely a jump. Looking more like a third-line player if he keeps this up, and good for him. It's about time. It's about time. See, I think Hartman has skills as well, but I think he's a natural fourth liner like Rask at this point. I think he's a natural fourth liner, but I think Foligno is more of a natural third. I think there's more to Foligno than we've seen thus far because of his role. Greenway, obviously, again, he got his 5th goal of the year, which was a big moment. Frustrating to think it's only his 5th goal, though, with all that skill. So that's one thing to think about. Only 5 goals, but he gave the Wild the lead with 2:37. Not 2:37 remaining, but early in the third period, only 2.5 minutes into the third period, and then Giordano ends up scoring on the power play very late. Disappointing moment there. What are you going to do? Disappointing moment indeed. Very disappointing moment. With about 5 minutes remaining, you get to the shootout, the overtime, nothing happens, and then the shootout. Riddick made save after save after save. Donato scores, you think we're going to win, and then, Derek Ryan's able to get past Stalock. Stalock just could not hold on that one, unfortunately. So, frustrating loss for Minnesota. We did get a point out of it. We got a point, but I don't know. I want more than a point in that situation, and, not happening. Minnesota will face off against Calgary tonight. So, Mike Modano award for this past week. It's Marcus Foligno with a bullet. Is there really a moment where you get really pissed off necessarily for like a James Shepard memorial? Again, it's like I don't really want to get ticked off at anybody right now. Again, it's just the ongoing injuries and off the ice stuff. It's like you can't help. So I'm not mad at anybody. It's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. There's not a whole lot you can do. I don't know what to say at this moment for like a James Shepard memorial. Just you just wish the goaltending was a little better. You wish the defense in front of the goaltending was a little better. Clear the bleeping puck out, freeze the puck. Like I said last show, Foligno showing up so nicely. He earned the Mike Modano big time. Nice to see Koivu back out there. Koivu's going to provide what he's going to provide. He's no star anymore. He never really was a star, but a solid player. Kunin was awesome. I think he deserves honorable mention for the Modano award. He's the other guy, I think, without a doubt. Nice goal by Stahl in the overtime period in the previous game. But again, nobody stands out to me as like they stunk this week. And even a guy that hasn't been productive has been productive in Matt Dumba. So we'll leave that one alone for now. We'll get back, talk about 3 games. Calgary, Vancouver, which has been a long time, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then we'll look at the prospects. We are back here on Brave the Wild. Gonna give a quick shout out here, as I did get a positive review this past week, and that Mega Man music is for you, buddy. I appreciate it, because I remember how you were mentioning how you you like the Mega Man music. Trying to load this here really quick. MN Soda 24. It happened on New Year's Eve, apparently. This review went up on iTunes. Can't thank you enough. Apple Podcasts, iTunes, whatever you want to call it. Headlines, nice podcast, and he put the 5 stars. I like your summaries of games and individual performances. You are informative and fun, and I love the use of Mega Man music. And thank you very much. So this one's for you, MN Soda 24. I got a couple apologies to make as well for last week's show. Last week the show didn't get released until the evening when I got home from work because, it was the afternoon. Hipcast actually helped me out. Yeah, it got released in the afternoon even though I was finished recording and supposed to be released in the later stages of the morning, which it will be today, God willing. Somehow, some way, I bumped something and it created a release date that was later on, so it was just going to sit there and in the queue until that day came. So that would have been a big mistake. I think it was going to be like midnight or something that same day. So much later. That would have been dumb. So I bumped something. That's why the show didn't pop up right away. And also the bumper music, I left it silent because I always have it silent when I'm recording so it doesn't interrupt me one way or another. So I don't make a mistake somehow. And I usually unsilence it before I, turn the show into an MP3 file and blah, 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 upload it onto Hipcast and such. So apologies for both of those things. And major shout out to MN Soda 24. Thank you very much. And I love using Mega Man music. I always thought hockey players look like Mega Man, or Mega Man looks like a hockey player, with the outfits, the jerseys, the sweaters, and everything, and the helmet. I mean, Mega Man looks like a hockey player a little bit, doesn't he? So it's a perfect fit. I just kind of always felt that way. Mega Man and hockey go together so well. So and the music just goes with the sport too, because it's such an aggressive sport. And games like Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 especially, the music is just so energetic, and it's like, yeah, let's do this. So it fits hockey perfect, in my humble opinion. That and maybe like some of the Gradius or Gradius games back in the old days as well. I'm an old school gamer and not much into the new games, so you can tell it's all very, very retro stuff from the late 80s, early 90s. Okay, so let's get to the 3 games I got to preview. Just wanted to get that out there. Again, a shout out, and of course, the reasoning for using Mega Man music. Calgary Flames tonight on Jan 9th. Same old story. Calgary Flames again. Oh, goody. Well, this is the rubber match, folks, if I remember correctly. I do believe we only play 3 times. Yep, that's what I thought. 3 times. Minnesota won game 1, so to speak, in Xcel Energy Center 3-0 with Dubnyk in net. Dubnyk will not be in net tonight. Shootout loss 5-4 technically. Even though it wasn't a goal against, it was a shootout goal against, but 5-4 technically. 4 goals given up by Alex Stalock. I would like to see Kaapo Kähkönen in net tonight, but I doubt it. I'm guessing that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, Calgary's now won 3 games in a row after they'd struggled mightily coming into that game. They'd been really struggling. They've beaten the Rangers. They had beaten the Rangers 3 days before coming to Minnesota, hosting Minnesota. This is messed up. It was in Minnesota. So my apologies. Yep, it was in Minnesota. Yeah, my bad. Before coming to Minnesota. A 5-4 win, obviously, and then beating Chicago in Chicago last night. So a couple of road wins. Now they go back to Calgary. Yep, I got that. Yeah, I'm just looking at it wrong. I thought it was home, away, home, but nope. It's home, away for Minnesota here now with Calgary. So our only visit to Calgary, Alberta. And the Wild, unfortunately, in our last 5, we're 2-3. So again, we beat Colorado, which was amazing. We beat Winnipeg, but then lost to the Islanders, Toronto, and Calgary. I can't complain about who we lost to. It's just the fact that we lost. That's all. I can definitely not complain about who we beat. Those are awesome wins. Tough schedule. When you look at the last 5, Colorado, New York Islanders, Toronto, Winnipeg, and Calgary, you cannot tell me that's an easy schedule. People might say this, say that about the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames are pretty good. They're not bad. They got 51 points on the year now. They're still hanging in there, blah, blah, blah. They're actually tied with the Edmonton Oilers, their arch rivals, and 3 points behind Arizona for the Pacific Division lead. So don't sleep on the Calgary Flames if their goaltending situation gets a little more consistent and their scoring gets more consistent. That's pretty much what it is at them. I want Kähkönen in net tonight. I really do. I want Kähkönen in net, damn it. We talked about most of these guys last show. David Rittich is giving up almost 3 goals a game, but he does have 2 shutouts on the season. 91% save percentage, 2.81 goals against. Matthew Tkachuk leading the tub in scoring and in injuring Wild players as well, unfortunately. Luckily, he hasn't done it this year, thank God. This team, they've underachieved a bit, but I think they're picking it up of late. Giordano's not on pace for a 50-point season like he was last year. He was more than 50. He got like 70 points last year. He was nuts. But the scoring in front of him was a big part of it. Lindholm, he's been picking it up of late. He's the leading goal scorer now, so good for him. A lot of years it's been Monahan And then now Chuck has been kind of the overall leading scorer. Johnny Gaudreau is usually the leading scorer, but nobody's like a point a game like they were last year. Let's, stop getting beat by Dylan Dubé and Milan Lucic. That would be great. Michael Frolik, a guy who almost was coming to Minnesota. All it was a fax machine situation again. What's with the NHL and fax machines anyway? I don't know. Mangiapane, he's a player that's been solid for Calgary, kind of emerging as you could call him kind of a geek squad member for Calgary. I don't know if he's a geek, but you know what I mean. Similar kind of role there, third, fourth line-ish situation. It's an overall solid team, and of course we could talk about them forever. Sam Bennett's greatly underachieved. First-round pick years ago. He's not scoring at all. He's been banged up. Frustrating situation there with Samuel Bennett of the Calgary Flames. Luckily, the Minnesota Wild have Luke Kunin and such. With the way Kunin has been playing, I think Kunin will be the most likely guy to score tonight. I don't like the Wild in Calgary, though. It almost never works out, does it? I don't like the Wild in Calgary. It's historically not been a good matchup. I got a crappy feeling the Flames are going to win the season series. I hope Kakinen's in net. If he's in net, there's a chance maybe we get the win here, but I got a crappy feeling. I don't think the Wild beat Calgary tonight. I think it's going to be like 4-2, 4-3, something like that. But I think Calgary ends up winning the game. I don't know. I think they're on a roll a little bit here. They'll get their fourth win in a row. And I don't know. Maybe Minnesota comes out firing. But I do think Kunin scores. I love the way he's been playing. He'll get his 11th goal of the year. And he's emerging, just kind of like he was starting to with Iowa when the Wild called him up and kept him up last year. He was just starting to emerge with Iowa. It took a while, obviously. But Kunin is becoming a legitimate NHL player. I'm very, very pleased with what he's brought. Third line or whatever it is, he's a goal scorer. He's got skills. Not like a goal scorer, like a 35, 40 point guy, 40 goal guy, but he's got to be 20 to 25 ish. And of course the grit and the possible alternate captain or even team captain in the future. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens to that. But again, Juleric's the next showing more and more skills. If he doesn't score, the passing is becoming more and more of a factor. I think he's going to move up a bit as well. He's going to be a 40, 50-point guy with his assists. And, Eck has the skill too. But Kunin, I think, has like a little bit more natural goal scorer ability, we'll say. Let's keep going. Calgary, we will not win the game in Calgary. That's just my painful thoughts. Sunday the 12th, Jan the 12th, hopefully we're celebrating the Minnesota Vikings getting to the NFC Championship game. If Kakinen's not in net versus Calgary, and I'm thinking he won't be, I'd like him to be. But with a few days off, hopefully they give Stalock another crack at it. I'm sure he's chomping at the bit after getting beat with 4 goals, but I just think it's going to be more of the same. Jacob Markstrom, he's been in net for a while for for Winnipeg now. Obviously solid goaltender. He's, it's another situation in Vancouver, very similar to Calgary, very similar to Minnesota, where the goaltending is just okay. Years ago, obviously, Dubnyk was an all-star every year. But they're scoring goals, though. Vancouver's getting better. They're getting a lot better. They're 11th in the league in goals, 4th on the power play. 4th in the power play, which could mean a loss for Minnesota on Sunday. Maybe another, yay, the Vikings won, and they're advancing in the playoffs. Hopefully they beat the 49ers. But, yeah, the Wild are going to stink and lose again. Oh, boy. The Wild could get swept this week. They easily could. Oh boy, I'm scared. I don't like this matchup. The way the Wild's penalty kill has been, you want to believe that they're going to get it together and shut them down, but man, over 25% on the power play. That's incredible. 4th in the league. Jacob Markstrom most likely will be on that. Otherwise, you got Thatcher Demko or Michael DiPietro. No, obviously no. He's not a legit. He's not going to be up there. He's a minor league goalie at this stage. But they're giving up almost 3 goals a game. Demko is giving up over 3 goals a game. No shutouts. Only 1 shutout for Jacob Markstrom. He's just adequate. He's like a Band-Aid goaltender. He's your goalie for now until you get somebody better. That type of thing. It is what it is. But a pretty good group of players here. Brock Besser, we're not even talking about him this year as much. Last year he got hurt later in the season, but he's been awesome. 40 points, 13 of them goals. Setting other players up. He's actually leading the club in assists. Elias Pettersson has been awesome. 45 points, over a point a game. He's a +3. Vancouver's very much in the playoff hunt right now. We can't say playoff picture yet, but playoff hunt. They're better than us. They're better than us. They're better than the Sharks. They're 8 points, ahead of the Sharks, and only 1 point behind the Flames, and only 4 points behind Arizona. That division could go to anybody. I think Vegas wins it at the end of the day, but we'll see. Watch Edmonton miss the playoffs because Vancouver's too good. We'll see. But there will be Canadian teams in the playoffs this year. It won't be another one of those years. Bo Horvat's just Mr. Consistency, Mr. Solid, 36 points. Awesome points, actually. I mean, awesome numbers for Bo Horvat. And I'm scared of this one. Hopefully Kakinen's in net against Calgary and the Wild get the job done, or say Alex Stalock stands on his head and the Wild score like crazy again. It could be actually a pretty good game for Minnesota at the end of the day. Maybe it will be another back and forth 4-4 type of game at the end of the day, or maybe the Wild squeak it out 4-3, maybe overtime or whatever it is, something like that, with Dumba with the win. But I think Kunin is going to be the goal scorer against Calgary. Oh, Vancouver. I'm scared of this one. Wild have not played well against this team forever. It's been a long time. This is a season opener between these two, series opener. Only 3 games because they're Pacific Division. Jan 12, Feb 6, Feb 19. So it'll go by pretty quickly. In about a month, this series will be over. Minnesota's got 2 home games again. Well, don't rain on our NFC Championship game parade, Minnesota. Go out and get the job done. I mean, I think if you're going to win a game this week, at least win this one. We'll see what happens. I don't know, man. This could be a bad week. Oh, this should be shaping up for a losing streak. It could be. Maybe squeak out a point here and there, but I got a bad feeling about this game because of the power play situation. Oh, man, I don't know. I'm struggling. Most likely guy to score in this game for the Wild. Let's go with Joel Eriksson. No, I don't think it's going to be him. I think somehow, some way, I'm going to go with Spurgeon. I think Spurgeon is the most likely guy to score against the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, I'm going to step out in good faith. 4-3 win for Minnesota. Maybe we come out with a great amount of energy. Maybe where it's like, yay, Vikings are doing good. We're going to keep this train rolling. Because I'm just hoping and believing the Vikings can beat the 49ers. Yep, I'm talking about it on this show. 4-3 win for Minnesota. I mean, one of these two between Vancouver and Calgary, they're both going to be higher scoring 4-3 type games, and I think we split them. So I'll go with the Vikings. The Wild beat the Vancouver Canucks, and the most likely guy to score in this game will be Jared Spurgeon. So we'll inch past them. Vancouver had won 4 games in a row against LA, not surprising. Calgary, 5-2 beat Calgary in Calgary, impressive. 7-5 demolition against Chicago, 2-1 gutted out versus the Rangers, and then they got demolished by Tampa Bay, 9-2. Good game by Tampa Bay. Wow, 9 goals. Whew, incredible. Well, we'll see how Vancouver responds, but maybe that's a bad sign that Vancouver might be on a little downtrend. So hopefully the Wild can go out and get the job done versus the Vancouver Canucks. Who do they play between now and then, though? A couple of games. At Florida, at Buffalo. That could be a rough road trip because Florida's always tough. Buffalo's what they are. They're all over the place. That'll be a matinee on Saturday. Ugh, I don't like that. I wouldn't want to play at that noon. Ugh. And then 3 in the afternoon against the Minnesota Wild. I think the Wild win this one. Spurgeon scores. So let's keep moving. Pardon me. I just love talking hockey, can you tell? Pittsburgh Penguins, 3 Stanley Cups for Sidney Crosby, 2 of them fairly recently against San Jose and the Nashville Predators. Tristan Jarry, I finally get to talk about him a bit. Wow, he has been unbelievable in that for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He'd been, obviously Matt Murray's been kind of the established starter, but he's just another one. I mean, just chalk him up. He's another average goalie right now. Like Dubnik's been chalked up as an average goalie. He's been an all-star. Matt Murray's been an all-star. Markstrom's an average goalie. David Riddick's an average goalie. Matt Murray's just another one. Another one in the blender of average goaltenders. 2.92 goals against average. Will he be a net? Well, hopefully for the Minnesota Wild's sake he is, and the Wild take advantage. But Tristan Jarry, he might be the Binnington of Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh wins the Stanley Cup, I think it's because of Tristan Jarry. He's been unbelievable. Jarry. 2 goals against, 3 shutouts on the year. I mean, Binnington, I'm telling you, there's the 93 save percentage, 14-6 He's been outstanding, as they say, but unfortunately, Jake Gensel is done for the season. He is playing like an all-star, over a point a game. In 39 games, he had 43 points, plus 11, 20 goals. Jake Gensel leading the Pittsburgh Penguins of all teams in scoring, and he's had to with Sidney Crosby missing a ton of time as well. So maybe that would be why the Wild would win the game, because, it's just, it's two pretty important players have been missing for an extended period. Obviously, of course, no more Jake Gensel. That was very, very disappointing. Very, very sad. Shoulder injury for Jake. He is done for the season. 4 to 6 months. Oh, Jake. That's so sad. Mike Gensel's son, of course, former Gophers assistant head coach, basically, with John Lucia all the way back into the Wooger days. Oh, Jake. He was born in Omaha, Nebraska, because Mike Gensel was in Nebraska for a while there. Oh, man, before he came back to Minnesota. Oh, Jake, I feel for you, buddy. Big shame there. Jake, obviously born in Omaha, but grew up in Minnesota mostly. Whew, that sucks. Hell of a player. Ugly number, 59, but he's a good player, man. Third-round pick that ended up being an awesome player. I wish the Wild could get more guys like that. Hopefully Kaprizov ends up being that in the 5th round. Chris Letang has been all-star caliber all season, though he's been banged up. I mean, Pittsburgh's just, they're always injured. Evgeny Malkin, 10 more points than games played. He's been unbelievable. But again, he's missed about 13 games on the season. Penguins are very much in the mix. They're only 8 points behind Washington, who was the best point total in the league. So obviously they're elite. Pittsburgh is 14 games above 500. Yeah, they got another golfer, Nick Bukestad. Well, not another golfer. What's his name wasn't on the Gophers. What's his name? Gensel. They sure could have used his help, though. So what's going on with the season series with the Pittsburgh Penguins? I had it up, and I'm still in Vancouver over here. Pardon me. Yeah, that's doing nothing here, so I apologize with this. There we go. Yeah, Pittsburgh Penguins, man, they're very much in the mix, but again, the injuries have been a problem with Pittsburgh pretty much since time began. This one will be on NBC Sports on Tuesday, Jan the 14th, 1 month ahead of time before Valentine's Day. Yay! Looking at the season series, if humanly possible, this thing was acting up a little bit. That's my own fault. Yeah, well, that's right. We gave up 7 goals against Pittsburgh. Awful night. Way back on October the 12th, when the Wild were just terrible. And a home game. It was our home opener. And it was like, here we go. And then kablooey. It was demolition time. Hopefully the Wild can respond. I'd like to step out in good faith and believe the Wild can beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh, because obviously it's not a home game. Matt Murray Matt Murray did give up 4 goals in the game. He's very mediocre. And then Dubnyk and Stalock, rough game. Dubnyk gave up 5 goals, and even Stalock gave up 1 later, but was steadier. But Pittsburgh is so far ahead, it was like whatever. And of course, the empty net goal was the 7th goal of the game. Susie was already very much established, and Dumbo was what he was. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but starting off the season slowly, which is still slow for his standards. Oh man, where do I go with this game? 7th in the league in goals, 5th in goals against because of Jerry. Power plays only 21st. That's good. Penalty kills in the middle around 12. And they're pretty good about staying out of the box. 6th in the league there. Oh, man. And yeah, because I don't see Pittsburgh as a physical team. They're a skill team. No Gensel is, it's like what's going to happen with the whole situation. They recently beat Vegas. That would be an interesting Stanley Cup final. God, would I be cheering for Vegas, though. I don't want Pittsburgh to win. I like that they're wearing a more retro look of late. Vegas ends up losing 4-3. Yep, Christian Jerry, very solid night. I mean, he's got to be the goalie. It looks like we will not be having to worry about Sidney Crosby on this one. Wild need to take advantage. Seriously, we need to take advantage. I mean, it's, to me, there's almost no excuse. Pittsburgh's been kind of back and forth. Ottawa 5-2 win. Who doesn't beat Ottawa? They lost to the Sharks. They beat Montreal 3-2, lose to Florida 4-1, and then beat Vegas 4-3. So maybe if it's loss, win, loss. So if if the pattern continues, Minnesota will beat Pittsburgh at home. That'd be amazing. Hopefully that ends up being the case. If Tristan Jerry's in net, though, I don't think. I don't know. I'm not that hopeful at this point. I'm not that hopeful, but if it's kind of a back and forth thing, you put Matt Murray back in there, I think the Wild can win the game. We'll score 4 goals. We have been one of the better goal scoring teams, If it's Tristan Jarry, though, I think the Wild end up losing like 2-1, 3-2. It's going to be low scoring. Most likely guy to score will be Zach Parise. I like Zach Parise against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I just got that vibe there. Kind of an old thing with the New Jersey Devils and just many years with Minnesota, obviously. I think the Wild, boy, it really depends. Boy, it depends. Because, I mean, it was a totally different team that was playing against the Wild back in October. Totally different group. Jerry wasn't the goalie. Gensel, Gensel was playing. That would help. That would help a little bit. They still have a lot of scores, though, even without them. But, I don't know. They're not as good. It's going to be a tough loss for them. They're kind of a 500 team right now. Maybe the Wild don't beat Vancouver. I don't know. But I'm going to step out in good faith. Minnesota is going to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, something along the likes of 4-3. And Zach Parise will be the most likely guy to score. So with that said, we'll not take a break, but we're going to jump right into the prospects right here, right now. And as per usual, we always open things up with the Iowa Wild. Sam Honest and Gerald Mayhew. That's all I got to say about the Iowa Wild. I mean, good Lord. It's too bad that they're stuck down in Iowa. Because both of them could be, Gerald Mayhew could be bottom six. Sam Honest could be top six. Oh, what a crying shame. 26 years old each. I mean, Sam Honest, 8 points in the last 3 games. Unbelievable. 3 assists recently against Rockford and against Chicago. And, man, goodness, San Diego. 3 assists against Rockford. 3 assists against Chicago. And then San Diego, 2 goals. Sam Honest now 39 points on the year, 28 assists, 11 goals. Unbelievable. Gerald Mayhew just continues to pile up the goals. Both of them are right shot guys. Either one of them could play on Minnesota right now, and they would fit right in. It's just you don't want to mess up some of the lineup, but well, shoot. But with Jason Zucker out again, he plays on the other side. But you got guys that play, they're left-handed. Fiala tends to play on the right side all the time, and he's been successful, even though he's left. Same with Zuccarello. That's just how he is. He wants to be on that side. But my God, I think these guys deserve a crack. Sam Honest has just been crazy good. He's been tearing it up, and Iowa's been awesome. Nothing short of awesome. Connor DeWeer continues to chip in here and there. Now he's at 8 total points. He got his 4th goal. Connor DeWeer most recently. And a guy that's been a little bit better, including Nick Steeler adding a couple of assists in the last 2 games. Here he had 1 game going into last week, got a little stint there. But now, he's getting some more time in Iowa. A couple of assists, so good for him. Getting a little confidence up. And Matt Robson's confidence has been coming up, too. He's had a couple of solid games, only 2 goals given up in a row. 2 games in a row. Goals against average has dropped about 0.2, so down to 2.81 now for Matt Robson. Good for him. Got his record up to 7-7, where Cabo Kakinen would be a really good football team, 13-3. Derek Brabo has been called up again, though, unfortunately, as Kakinen has been called up to the National Hockey League. So Derek Barabo, who was doing outstanding for the ECHL, but not so good necessarily in Iowa thus far. He'll be the backup for Robson because Kakinen's now hanging out here in Minnesota. It is what it is. There's some Allen American fans that are pissed off at the Iowa Wild for calling up their players, but well, I mean, that's professional hockey. Guys get hurt or whatever, and somebody has to go up, or maybe somebody's doing real good and they get promoted. What the hell? I don't know why somebody would complain and say that, but I get it. I mean, Allen's been awesome. Of course, Tyler Sheehy's also been up with the Iowa Wild of late, but not a whole lot going on there. 2 games so far for Iowa. Nothing going when he's been dominating the ECHL. We'll get to the ECHL very shortly, but good to see guys like that. Belpedio has been up and down. It looks like he's back down in Iowa again, stuck at 13 points thus far. Mendel's at 25. He did not score in any of the points recently. Nico Sturb continues to chip in, and he's just kind of moving up a bit. Good for him. I think, again, he's a legitimate, 3rd or 4th line center in the NHL one day. Honest and Mayhew, boy, I think honestly they could be very productive players in the NHL. Maybe not stars, but productive players. Again, maybe Honest is just too small, and Mayhew's only 5'9" also. They're both smaller guys, but, man, they're sure as hell great AHL players. It's a crying shame. They've been so freaking good. I'm very happy to see their production of late. Let's check out those Allen Americans a little bit. How are guys like, obviously she was dominating, but now again in the AHL instead. Jack Sadek's now up to 15 points. He had another goal and an assist recently. Now 3 goals on the season, 15 points. Good for him. And Boca finally came back and added his 7th assist on the year. Good for him. as he's been out with injury. Only 21 years of age, so he's still got a chance to be something. More of a Steeler type, kind of a physical defenseman. I think Static he's kind of an all-around guy, a little more of a mix, and he's a taller guy too at 6'3", so that can be good. He's kind of an all-around defenseman, solid defensively, but definitely can provide some offense. Static, it's a long climb to get to the NHL, but he's definitely got AHL capabilities, I gotta say. Barabo's really been struggling everywhere, honestly. Chenko has been the main goalie for Iowa most of the season. Other than Jake Patterson's not been so hot, but still good record because they're scoring like crazy. They're kind of like super Calgary, scoring like crazy, but mediocre goaltending in Allen. So I don't know. I don't know why they're complaining so much about guys moving up. First off, still been outstanding. He's been awesome, generally speaking. A lot of people excited about him. 13 points for Connecticut thus far. Again, the winter break's coming to an end now, and things can move forward. Kovanov has been, has been unbelievable in the tournament and such. What a run for him! Again, 2 points a game in Moncton for the Wildcats, but then 8 points in the under 20 World Junior Championships. 8 points in 7 games, 3 of them goals, +3. Very strong play, and he ended up getting a silver, so now he'll be heading back to Quebec here very soon. Quebec Major Junior Hockey League anyway. Moncton Wildcats. See what happens there. Hoping for the best. Sam Henches at 22 points now on the season, over a point a game. Love what he's brought for the St. Cloud State Huskies. Again, they've struggled a bit. They're getting a little bit better. Again, lost to the Gophers, though, most recently in the Mariucci Classic. Go Gophers. That was nice. There was in the final game of that little, Final Four tournament, you could call it. But Sam Henches has been so great. And the conversation's just going to continue with him. It's going to continue. Philip Johansson stuck at only 3 points in 22 games. Very quiet. He's a -8 for Lake Sands. That's where he's been in the Swedish Hockey League at this stage. So Philip Johansson, only 19 though. So still, there's still a chance he might end up being something. What was the one? The guy everybody's been talking about. Beckman. That's what everybody's been talking about of late. Just, getting comparisons to Leon Draisaitl of Germany, of course. Same statistics, same age. 18 years of age in the WHL, same league, same statistics, all kind of adding up. So hopefully the Wild got a gem here in Adam Beckman. It's tough to gauge, but he has been about 2 points a game in the WHL, and he's only 18 years old. The Spokane Chiefs, 61 points. Again, conversations ongoing. He's at +26. He was at +19 last year, but still less than a point a game, almost a point a game. But it's going to be fascinating to keep up with Adam Beckman. He's a left winger there, so maybe he'll be replacing Jason Zucker eventually. Young guy, obviously still only 18 years of age. He'll turn 19 on May the 10th, taken just last June by Paul Fenton and co. I'm telling you, man, Paul Fenton might have done a hell of a job here. If Beckman's anything like he's projecting out to be, he might be a hell of a player, and that's really nice news. Minnesota needs guys like this so badly. So freaking badly. Lots of encouragement there. 29 goals in 37 games. He is just tearing it up. He might give 100 points, just like Leon Draisaitl did in the WHL, pardon me, at age 18. Unbelievable run for Adam Beckman thus far. He's been the prospect of the week. He's just been like 8-9 points a week lately. Just unfreaking believable. And just like, Sam Honest, like 8 points in the AHL last week. That's your AHL player of the week without a doubt. Even though Mayhew actually, you could kind of give it to both of them. Mayhew's been like about 7-8 points as well in a mere week. And Iowa's been playing much, much, much better. So awesome. Even with the absence of Kakinen. Nice to see Matt Robson kind of settling down in net again after he started super good and then dropped off and really ran into some trouble, and now he's super good again. So great news there. Mostly the collegiate ranks. We're going to try to get caught up with that as they start playing again. It's been kind of up and down. Guys have been kind of in and out again with the winter break, Christmas break, whatever you want to call it. I call it Christmas break. Kirill Kaprizov still hanging around about a point a game, 19 goals, 19 assists in 40 games for CSKA Moscow of the KHL, which is a legitimate professional hockey league over there in Russia. Again, continued conversation as he does want to come. he's ready to roll in April, and that's basically where we're at. That's where we're at. He's a plus 12 on the season. Numbers not as sexy overall as last year necessarily in terms of the plus minus, but his projected total points will be higher though than last season. More consistency. Not last year he had like about 9 more goals than assists. This year he's right even. He's just becoming a overall outstanding player, and can't wait to see him. Age 22. He will be 23 possibly by the time he signs with the Minnesota Wild and ready to roll. Right about that age of a young guy in the NHL, ready to rock and roll. He won't be this, super duper young guy who needs to develop in wherever for 2 or 3 years. He has developed. It's time, and can't wait to see Kirill Kaprizov in the Christmas colors, as they call it. With that said, that should be about it for now. Going to give some shout outs. Of course, at Brave the Wild is the Twitter account. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vinrock, Vince Germano, and Tanae Brown for retweeting the most recent show. God bless you guys for doing that and retweeting it out to your friends. At Brave the Wild. Facebook.com/BraveTheWild.Minnesota is the Facebook page. Do look that up and do follow it or like it, whatever, and conversate with me on there if humanly possible. Always appreciate that. I think there was a little fan interaction on there, so while that's loading, I'll give some more shout-outs to MNW Prospects. MNW Prospects, I'm an admin on that page and very happy to be that. Can't thank you enough to Pavel Burnett, Justin Back, Merrick Skyba. Justin Back is local here, Merrick Skyba, and of course Pavel Burnett from the Czech Republic. They keep up with the Minnesota Wild prospects and the Minnesota Wild in general. Been just, gushing about Adam Beckman. He's just been beautiful. He's been awesome. Of course, Sam Honest, definitely the AHL Player of the Week, the Iowa Player of the Week. He's been absolutely awesome. Can't say enough about how Sam Honest has been, and feel bad for him that he's stuck in the AHL. I really am. Again, Kakinen was recalled under emergency conditions. I thought there was another thing, but I guess there isn't. Maybe that was last week. The Winter Classic. And I didn't bring it up. There it is. Host the Winter Classic. Yep, couple comments here. Let's see what they say here. Where did it go? Come up, dang it. There we go. Anthony Rongo says, great. Leon Olson says, I will be there. So, very cool. So, you'll be there, Leon Olson. Good to hear. So, just a couple of very brief comments there. Not a whole lot to say, but thank you guy and gal there for having some conversation and being excited about the Minnesota Wild. Maybe hosting the Winnipeg Jets, Colorado Avalanche, St. Louis Blues. Not the Blackhawks, okay? Screw the Blackhawks. I don't want to get beat, fudge that. So that's a bunch of crap. Pardon me, I almost dropped an F-bomb there. It's a bunch of nonsense. I shouldn't be. I would not swear on the show. That'd be not cool. At least not that word. Hell and damn is what it is. With that said, can't thank you enough. MN Soda 24. Thank you so much. Anybody else out there that loves the show? Maybe you're new to it, but you're like, I like this. Please give a positive rating if you could on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever it is. I know you can on Apple Podcasts. On the others, I'm not 100% sure, but if you can, that would be great, and I'll greatly appreciate it. And I'll give you a thank you and shout out on there. Thank you so very much. Again, Minnesota Wild Global. Also, highly recommend you join that page for in-game threads. Minnesota Wild discussion. Pavel Burnett often posts stuff from MNW prospects on there as well, with the prospects immersions, prospect of the week, and all that. We're all working together. It's good stuff. We're all friends. It's awesome. Scott Cavendish founded Minnesota Wild Global. Thank you so much for that. Chad Walski, what an awesome guy. Keeps up with this show, keeps up with the prospects, loves the Wild. He's a big piece of that Minnesota Wild Global page as well. Chance Kostick, David Kostick, big members of that page also. Always keeping up with everything. Love you guys. Traveling across the country, keeping up with the Wild on the road. Some of you, my schedule doesn't add up for that, and my bank account doesn't add up for that at this point. But and it would be hard to do the show too. I'd find a way. I wish I could be like Michael Russo, traveling across with the team and setting up my laptop and doing podcasts in hotels. That'd be awesome. I wish I could do that. That'd be like a dream. I don't have to worry about this stupid job anymore. Wouldn't that be awesome? And have like a real job like that, a fun job like that, covering our Minnesota Wild. Maybe someday. If you know somebody out there that can hook me up with that kind of job, let me know. paladinolive@yahoo.com is the email. Of course, there will be links to all the Facebook page and the Twitter account and all that, and MNW Prospects Facebook page. There'll be links to that in the show description, without a doubt. Other last thing, maybe if you could join me with audio submission, it would be great to have you on board. use your smart device. There's a free voice recording application, on every smart device on the planet. Simply click on it, click record, treat it like a phone call, save it, and email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. Paladinolive@yahoo.com. I will then convert it into an MP3 file thanks to Zamzar or Converto.com. They provide a free service for me, so I'm more than happy to give them a free plug. So it is what it is there. Thanks again. Hopefully the Minnesota Wild end up being at least 2-1 this week. Maybe get things going in the right direction, and keep looking forward to these exciting prospects. As I don't think the cupboards are bare. I really don't. Hell of a job by Paul Fenton. I just wish he had better people skills. But Bill Guerin's brought a much better attitude to this team. There's no doubt about it. It's like the best of both worlds. Like, imagine if Paul Fenton was kind of helping out with the draft behind the scenes, but Bill Guerin was the guy running the show. Generally speaking, the face of the franchise, so to speak. But then Paul Fenton's like he's the geek in the office. Running the draft and such. That would be awesome. That would be awesome, the draft, looking at the prospects and such. I think he could have been pretty good at that. Maybe him and Tom Curvers could have worked together behind the scenes. They maybe like two assistant GMs. I wish it could have been that way. Paul Fenton, you don't have to really deal with anybody much. Just kind of do your thing, be a super scout, because obviously he's a pretty good one. It is what it is, though. Hopefully Tom Curvers can keep it coming for Minnesota for a while. Maybe that's what Tom Curvers can do. Obviously, he worked with Tampa Bay, and look at them. Look at all the good players they've accumulated over the years. So with that said, we will step away now for a week. We'll continue to talk Minnesota Wild hockey next Thursday. Take care, everybody. And this time the show will be up on time, God willing.